Only there. Yeah, we're good to go.
Okay. Okay, so I'm going to read out our statement as we start the meeting. So welcome to this online meeting of Schools Forum. Welcome to this online meeting of Schools Forum on Thursday, the 20th of November, 2025. My name is Chris Tomes and I'll be chairing this meeting today. The meeting is being held virtually via Zoom and streamed live to the public on YouTube. I remind all attendees that participation in the meeting indicates consent to the audio and video being streamed live and acknowledgement that after the meeting it will continue to be available in the public domain. It is important that all participants recognise that meeting remotely requires a different approach than meeting in person. Firstly, it would be useful if all panel members can introduce themselves so the public are aware who is in this meeting and the role they are undertaking. So if I can begin with, is the Vice Chair here?
No, Sarah Cottle's giving her apologies.
Okay, fine, just ask. So Isabel, just want to...
I'm Isabel Cook. I'm from the Primary Academy section.
Okay, and just next. Alistair, do you want to?
Afternoon, everyone. My name's Alistair Whitelaw. I'm the Pupil Inclusion and Support Manager here on behalf of the Borough.
Live.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Deputy Director for Education here on behalf of the Borough.
Rebecca.
Good afternoon, everyone. Rebecca Askew, Senior Specialist Educational Psychologist for Wellbeing, Manager of the Wellbeing team and the Systemic Wellbeing Service.
And Helen.
Hi, I'm Helen Mile. I'm the Finance Business Partner for the High Needs Block.
And Louise.
Hi, Louise Dutton, Head of Finance at Achieving for Children, and I'm here to present Agenda Item 6.
And Jane.
I don't know if Jane's having issues. It's Jane Kennedy. She's a Finance Business Partner at Achieving for Children. She's doing Agenda Item 7.
Yeah, that's fine. Alistair.
Yes, I'm Alistair Whitelaw, as I said, but I'm doing the Agenda Item number 4.
I think.
Alistair Ingle, I meant.
No, sorry, Alistair.
Okay, you have problems. That's fine. Okay, so and Darren.
Hello, everyone. I'm Darren Gray. I'm CEO of Agape Multi Academy Trust.
And Danny.
Hi, Danny Edwards, Head Teacher at Cox Green School.
Catherine.
Hi, everyone. Catherine Page, Oldfield Primary, representing Maintained Primary Schools.
And Ben. Okay, I'm going to move on. I'm just going to read the rest of the statement. So I request that meeting participants do not speak unless I specifically invite you to do so. For virtual participants, you can indicate your desire to speak by raising your hand in Zoom. This is shown against the participant list in order of request. I will keep to that order of speakers. There should be no jumping in. Once I'm invited to speak, before you do so, please state your name and the capacity in which you're speaking if appropriate. Once you've spoken on an item, please lower your hand using the same function. If you decide to withdraw your request to speak at any time, please also lower your hand. I will also ask of you to speak at appropriate times. All participants should keep their microphones muted at all times other than when you've been invited to speak. Experience tells us that background noise can be very distracting and will adversely affect other speakers and the progress of the meeting. If any individual attempts to disrupt the meeting, I am able to use the powers in the Constitution to adjourn the meeting or have the person removed from the meeting. I would also like to address that as long as you continue to hear the debate, you may take the opportunity to move away from your screen or stretch your legs if you require a break. To ensure both participants in the Zoom meeting and watching via YouTube can follow the business, can I ask everyone to use page numbers and paragraph numbers when we refer to any item within a report. We'll start the agenda. And do we have any apologies for absence, Carl?
Yes, Chair. So apologies received, as mentioned earlier, from Sarah Cottle, who's also the Vice Chair. Andrew Morrison has notified that he'll be arriving a bit late to the meeting.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Any declarations of interest that to be aware of at this time? No, so we'll move on. So we've got the minutes of the last meeting. Is there is everyone happy that that's a true reflection of the meeting? That is read. And any actions on that need to be followed up? I think there's one action was on there, which was about training for school forum members. Clive, I think that was under your name.
Yeah, I think that's a carry forward while Lawrence and myself and Louise work that out.
Okay, so carrying it forward again, is that what we're saying? Yeah. Okay. Okay, so moving forward, so we're going to move on to item number 4, and that's a social, emotional, mental health paper. I believe, Alistair, you'll be speaking to us about that now.
Yes, thank you, Chair. You'll have all read the paper, and I don't want to take too much of your time going through it, but I'm looking for the form to agree an extension for 1 year for the SEMH intervention service, who were tasked with reducing permanent exclusions in primary back in 2019 and increasing capacity within the schools. We have worked very hard and have supported now. It expanded to fulfill middle schools and secondaries. I have currently 5 SEMH coach mentors. We've supported 155 children, and 6 of those children since 2019 have been subsequently permanently excluded. And that could have been 2 or 3 years after the intervention. So we're looking to extend for 1 year whilst we set up a working party. That working party will look at current needs of schools and children with social, emotional, mental health, and would look to evolve the service and relaunch it come the following academic year. I would also like, as part of that, and you'll see this in section, just go to it, 2.16, we would like to use some of the funding that's available in that service presently to support an expansion of the elective home education service, which currently has just under 300 families or 300 children that access one EHE coordinator. We know with the Wellbeing and Schools bills that's coming in, and also the pressure around a child in Woking that unfortunately was killed, and we are looking to support the inclusion service with some funding that is within the SEMH service to increase capacity and recruit an additional elective home education coordinator. The SEMH intervention service also provides schools with observations and strategies. We support the FAT process with reintegration for children that have been permanently excluded. So there's a lot of additional support that the service provides, and I'd like that to be considered as part of the working party next year. I'm happy to take additional questions. The funding will be for the next financial year 271,386, and that supports 6 roles. I think if there are any questions or anything that people would like to raise, Chair, it's back to you. I don't want to kind of go through line by line, if that makes sense.
Okay, is there any questions that we might ask? Could I just ask one? Obviously, that's an increase on expenditure from the current year. Is that correct?
Yes, yeah, it's roughly in line with 3% for the people that are employed through that service.
Okay, so it's 3% increase, and within that, you're growing the role to include the elective home education role.
Well, we've had one coach mentor that has come to the end of her 2-year contract, and we also have had one coach mentor that has dropped 0.8. So that will be where the funding comes from for that role.
Okay, so you're doing it within restructuring within the team.
Yes.
Okay. Any questions about that? Obviously, the roles you're describing are really important to schools, and we want to fully support that going forward. And we are very grateful for the work that you do behind the scenes supporting all that. So, okay, we'll take that as read. All in favour? Yeah. Okay. Let's carry that then and move that forward. Thank you, Alistair.
Thank you, Chair.
Okay, we're going to move on to item number 5. We've had the report that's come through on wellbeing service. So we've had the report. Is there any additional things you wanted to draw out? Who am I talking to now? Is that Rebecca? Yeah.
Yes, Chair, Rebecca Askew.
Yeah.
It's all there. So I'm happy to go through the headlines of the report. There's nothing in terms of the recommendation that hasn't changed. That's nothing new. So the recommendation that Schools Forum notes the report and provides the continued grant funding for the next year, and that, as I understand it, will remain at the same level as it's been since the team's inception.
And we agreed that last year. We remember the meeting last year. We agreed that going forward last year. That's not even increased. There's no increase there in that.
There hasn't been an increase, and I was informed that there is unlikely to be. On that basis, I probably should say that obviously, for the interests of growth of the team, we are back, as it says on page 6, underneath the testimonials in the overview. We are currently back to 1.6 FTE, but ideally we would grow the team further, so we can continue to offer a wider range of therapies, and certainly build our play therapy option, which is actually at the moment carrying a wait time, although doing well in that regard. That is reducing purely because, well, obviously we have very hardworking members of the team, 2 play therapists in the team, but equally, as noted, I think it's on that page, if not on one slightly. Yes, sorry, it's underneath the overview again on page 6. So the 3rd paragraph under the overview, we note that those play therapy wait times have steadily increased. It is looking better though, because we've recruited student play therapists who are completing their post-grad. So we already have 1 student with us who's been doing sort of extended play therapy in keeping with the needs of the course. So when I say extended, it's slightly longer. We offer up to 15 weeks for play therapy through the Wellbeing team, but the people on the course can offer up to sort of 20 weeks. So that's what I mean when I say that. And we're also hoping to recruit another student for sort of from January probably. We're already going through that process. So they're recruited as volunteers, so then they're not employed by us. So that's how we bolster the play therapy offer. But ideally, we would continue to grow. And on that basis, my point being that we are starting to look at and have developed a traded option, which I mentioned in Schools Forum this time last year, and that would be going out to a very small patch of Bracknell schools, and very much that is so we don't interfere with the offer to our Royal Borough schools. They would always be first and foremost, absolutely, in keeping with the funding. But to further bolster the service, we are looking to do that. And hopefully that would be from January onwards, if all goes to plan at the end of this term.
Are there any questions for Rebecca in terms of the report? Anything that anyone wants to raise? obviously, I remember you coming last time and saying about the work about the number of fixed term equivalents that you had, and you're concerned about the capacity. Has the capacity increased then, you feel, since that time?
It is increasing, as noted on page 7 under the headline data. We had 167 people referred to the teams, although that I should sort of highlight that does include the Getting Help team, who are also included. Data for them is also included in under those headlines. But absolutely, we are seeing that increases year on year for our sort of wellbeing services. Absolutely, yeah.
That's a positive to finish on. So, okay, so the recommendation is to continue with 120,000 going forward into next financial year. Is everyone in agreement with that? At your hands? Yeah. Okay, we'll take that as carried then going forward. And thank you for the very detailed report and for the case studies at the end. It's always good to read stories at the end there. So thank you for those. Okay, moving on, we're going to have a look at how much money, look at this, the DSG.
Thanks, Chair. So I'm going to present item 6. So that's on page 51 of the main report pack.
Is that the 25-26?
Yeah, the DSG 25-26. Yeah. So I'm asking the forum just to note the overspend and the cumulative deficit carry forward. So on page 52, there's a table at 4.3, and that just outlines the allocation that we have been given for the financial year 25-26. So the highlight figures in there, we have a growth DSG figure of 183.866 million. When you take into account recoupment for academies and free schools, our net DSG is 94.235 million. And then just moving on to point 4.5, there's a table 4 there, and that outlines the current projected position of the DSG. So overall, we're anticipating to overspend by 5.032 million, with majority of the overspend sitting within the high needs block, as we are quite aware of pressures on that. So the high needs block overspend is currently projected at 5.551 million. Offsetting that, there are a couple of areas of underspends, one in the schools block, which we're anticipating an underspend of 320,000. And then on the early years block, we're anticipating at the moment an underspend of 200,000. So when we combine the current in-year deficit with the cumulative deficit, we're anticipating there be a cumulative deficit of £9.546 million going into the next financial year. So are there any questions on that report?
Any questions? The £320,000, can you, what is that linked to?
So at the beginning of the year, we allow a budget for growth fund. So that growth fund is earmarked to support schools where they need a bulge class or permanently expanding. Yeah. And I don't know if you recall, historically, we assigned the whole of the growth funding allocation to that pot of money. This year, we reduced that, but we left ample amount of funding in there to support any potential bulge classes or permanent expansions. And there, we're not going to utilise £320,000 of it.
And in terms of a deficit of 9.5 million going forward, what are the plans there to reduce that?
I don't think it's around reducing it at this stage. I think we're quite aware nationally the pressures around the high needs block and loose terms lack of funding. I think around what we're planning to do is stemming that pressure from growing. We know it's going to grow, but we're trying to reduce the speed in which it does grow.
And you've had no news on, there's been a lot in the press, hasn't there, recently, but there's been no actual news or anything.
No actual news on funding. Clive's probably going to want to come in and talk about the white paper, which is delayed. Did you want me to pause and let Clive come in now?
Clive, do you want to come in now? Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. The white paper has been delayed. It's due out, they said, early next year. We don't know what early next year looks like. Currently, we don't know what the reforms are going to look like for the SEND area. We don't know. Just to say that 9 million is a cumulative budget. We're at 5.5 million. What I would say is if we didn't have the delivering better values money that we spent, that budget would be a lot higher than it is because of the work that the delivering better values has done. Yeah, and as local authorities, our deficit in this area is probably one of the lowest. It's just worth noting. But it's also worth noting that we always start in a deficit because there's never enough money at the beginning from the grant. And I think that's fair to say, Louise, isn't it?
And I with the 5.5 with the 5 million overspend that we're looking at for the end of this financial year, is there any movement there? Are you expecting that to be a better position by the end of the financial year?
Sorry, Louise, it depends on whether it's quite a risky budget because we could get a high placement in any school. That could be independent school. We don't know what comes through from the request. So it really is a budget that we go kind of as we go along, if that makes sense on the budget. So we can't predict whether that will stay at 5.5 by the end of the year. We do everything to try and make that stay.
Yeah. Okay. And so just in summary, this is down to the situation with high needs overspend, which is not just a local issue, it's a national issue that's taking place at the moment. Yeah.
I also think it's worth noting for the meeting is that our EOTAS has increased significantly, and that's through parents' choice about educating pupils other than at school. That has increased our budget.
Okay. Any further questions? I don't see any hands up about the current situation. Okay, so that's item number. Sorry, it's my agenda. So that's item number 6. Item number 7 is to look at next year's budget. Is that correct? Yeah. So is that back to you, Louise, just to talk that through?
Jane's going to present this one
Okay,
if she's able to take herself off mute. I know she had a problem earlier.
I think I've managed it now. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm asking Schools Forum to note the report and approve the consultation. There wasn't really a lot of news around figures for next year, but in an update to 3.2 on page 3 of the report, the DFE have published the school allocation and supporting documentation, including the operational guidance, on the 19th of November. Moving on to section 4, that contains the proposed delegation budgets for 26-27. So the amounts we are looking for school improvement, contingency, maternity and facilities time are contained in table 4. School improvement, there is 149,000. Contingency for maintained primary schools and first schools is 81,080. Maternity for primary and secondary is 106,200, and the facilities time is 200 hours across the school year, 6,600. The consultation going out to schools will also include the minimum funding guarantee. Now we've got more information on that.
Is there a change to that? Is that what you're...
There shouldn't be any change. It was published yesterday as minus 0.5% to 0%, which I believe is the same as last year.
Any questions about the proposed budget? Is that so? In terms of how's that different to last year, I suppose is the question. In terms of table 4, is that how's that compared to last year's figures?
It should be roughly comparable with last year. We haven't put any increases. The new thing is the facilities time.
Yeah. Okay. Any further questions on that? So this is to note at this point, is it? Are we taking? Is there a need to accept this going forward?
This will go out for consultation with schools, and the result will be brought back to the next meeting.
Okay, that's fine. No further questions? Okay, so the next part was membership review, and to review the membership of Schools Forum.
Yes, Chair.
Can I ask you to talk into this one? Yeah.
Yes, Chair. So under recommendation, the forum is to review its membership annually, as attached to the report. obviously we've got some positions filled up by members of the current membership of this forum, but we also do have some vacancies. So if any of these vacancies can be filled, if anyone knows who could fill in these empty slots, then that'll be great. One major thing to highlight was that Tim Fetz, who is the primary school governor, he hasn't been attending the last few meetings, and he hasn't responded to me reaching out to him. So it might be the case that there might be another vacant position, the primary school governor position. I don't know if Clive or any AFC officers have anything else to add.
If you've tried to reach out, Lawrence, then I feel that we have to do a vacancy on it and go back out to tender to the governing bodies for interest in sitting on this forum.
Sure thing.
Agree. Yeah, agree with that. If anyone does know a governor, primary school governor, that is interested in being part of this meeting, then do forward their names to the clerk and we can explore that. Anything further on that? Oh, have we covered all areas? We've got maintained schools, we've got academies represented, we've got special schools represented.
So the vacancies are a governor for an academy, a head teacher of a maintained primary school, a primary school governor, and in the non-school categories, the 14-19 section.
Okay. People do know anyone that could fit those roles if we can encourage them to. So Clive, you've got your hand up.
Yes, I wonder, Chair, whether it's worth asking Lawrence if you could send us the material we sent out to governors when we went for Tim's position, and we send that out to all the governors that's on our roll currently. Then maybe we can get some interest and go from there. I think last time we had the success of getting someone. It's unfortunate they've just not attended. So I think that probably is the best route to go for governors. And again, maybe we can circulate that same promotional piece to the maintained head teachers in primary and see if there's any interest.
Yeah, sure thing, Clive.
Yeah, okay. So we get this down as actions then to go forward for the next meeting. Okay. So the next meeting is the 11th of December, but I'm just wondering if there's a need to meet on the 11th of December because it's only literally a few weeks away, and then we're meeting again on the 15th of January. So I'm just going to propose that is there any reason why we need to meet on the 11th of December for any consultation or anything, Clive?
I was just going to ask Jane about the consultation period, how long it was for and when the report was coming back.
To say the report we would be bringing back to the December one because we would need approval from Schools Forum on certain elements in order to set the budget before the January Schools Forum.
Okay, so that would just be the sort of the main agenda item will just be looking at the outcome of the consultation and then move forward to the final budget.
Yeah.
Okay, that clarifies that point.
Chair, it might be worth noting we've looked at the schedule for next year, the timing of Schools Forum, and we've rescheduled it so it's a bit more spaced out. So we don't have 3 back to back. Yeah, that sounds sensible. Okay, that'd be great. Thank you. Is there anything else anyone needs to add at this point? Okay, can I thank then everyone? Can I thank the officers for bringing their reports in, and can I thank everyone for taking part this afternoon? And we'll see you on the 11th of December, and we can look at consultation outcomes going forward. Thank you. Have a good rest of your day.
Thank you all. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.